They sound important. Before we talk about what these respective pillars are and their importance, let's just go through each of you and briefly introduce yourselves, what you do in the game and how you got there, and then we'll start to break it down. Starting with South Paul.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Paul Arnold. I'm A&R at Ultra Music on the records and publishing. I've been with them for about 5 years. I'm based in London, but obviously we're a worldwide company. Before that, how I got there, I used to run a label called Certificate 18, an early drum and bass label in the early 90s. Released about 20 albums, 112 inches. That evolved into not wanting to run another record label ever again, but ended up running another record label called Fat Records, alongside a club night called Chew the Fat, which I run for about 15 years and toured globally, DJing with it, until I then evolved and started working at Ultra. So that's me.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Nacho and I'm a professor at Berklee College of Music. I teach there basically the DJ and synthesis classes. How I got there, I've been an artist and a DJ for the last 20 years, and I've been recording for many underground labels abroad. I also set my own label, which is still running nowadays, Loudest Records, and basically that's it.
Hi, good morning. I'm Christian. I'm one half of Mambo brothers, and we both are from Ibiza. We are DJs, and as well we run bars and clubs in Ibiza, Cafe Mambo, and we've been in this business for 25 years, and every day it gets better and better. So here we are. And looking forward to explaining a little bit what DJ and music is all about.
Yes, I'm his brother, Alan.
I'm good. I'm Mark Lawrence. I spent, up until 5 years ago, I spent 10 years at PRS, the Performing Rights Society in the UK. 5 years ago, I left there to run the Association for Electronic Music. At the same time, I also set up a dance music publishing company called Black Rock, a small label group called Motion Label Group, and also some artist management along the side as well. So kind of dipped in and out of everything apart from DJing. So I don't make music, I don't play music, but I try to do everything else and try and help everyone along the way as much as I can.
Okay, thanks. So let's try to put these in not order of importance, but let's say chronological order. And if we're looking at production, promotion, performance, and publishing, I would say the first step in that process is production. Let me ask you this, Nacho. Do you think that in the current climate, for any DJ or artist in the electronic sphere, are they required to be able to produce and to produce by themselves? Is it almost a prerequisite now for an artist to be able to be self-sufficient with their production?
I think so. Especially in the last years, this has been like a must for a DJ who wants to have gigs and to be there, to be in the market, to have their own productions. Maybe in the past it wasn't like a prerequisite, but nowadays I think it is.
And then, speaking of production, which goes very quick to the record label and A&R or something, with promotion, one could engage another company to do it. Now, very often an artist puts out a record, they go to the label for their promotion, which is the vehicle whereby they get promoted. As a producer, though, collaborations, ghost producers, getting someone else, the investment that's required. Do you think that it is required that someone can produce or have someone else collaborate and produce for them, and they'll still get that same kind of impact from an A&R? I mean, when you're looking at A&Ring a record, is it just the record and what it sounds like that is what you listen to, or do you look for a package that is self-produced, someone that has produced by themselves and has that marketability?
That's a big question. Yeah, I mean, as an A&R, it's about the idea, the concept is something. If I get a demo land on the desk or through an email that has just a fantastic idea, it's original, it's going to open my ears. With the music alone, if it doesn't have anything else and I hear something, that is enough. So I guess it goes to the quality of the production. If they're a bedroom producer and they've made something and their production isn't amazing, they just started out, but they've still got a really good idea. They found a great sample when they use it as a really interesting hook, and they put it on a beat, but just something about it, that is enough. But hopefully to get, open an A&R's ears, but I think you can go a step further and, like you just mentioned, invest in yourself at that before you send it, so that you get even more chance of the A&R picking it up, because A&Rs do get a lot of stuff sent to them. Some of them can be lazy. If you're in your bedroom, you've got this idea, you've got a beat, you've got this great hook. Why don't you go to the guy who you know is a better producer than you and say, hey, would you mind doing a little bit of additional production? Because they're not going to have their name necessarily next to yours. You could pay them a little bit of money, then they can just tweak your track and make it that 10%, 15, 20% better. So when you send it to the A&R, he hears that hook, but he also hears a better production around it. He's more likely to give it the attention and get back to you and want to take it further.
Okay. Alan, Christian, maybe a question for you guys. I mean, I've spoken with a few artists over the years, and there reaches a point where they reach this crisis of creativity, where they want to produce a successful record, but they want to be creative as well. I mean, in your experience, what should be the underlying rationale when someone sits down and they're going to start producing a record, doing something that gives them the creativity or the independence, that they're doing something that they feel is what they like? Or do you need to be producing something thinking that it's something which will sell well, or something which other people may like, following a pattern or following your own creativity?
Totally, you have to be comfortable with what you produce, because you have to represent that worldwide afterwards. You can't be making music that you don't, just think on commercial success. The teamwork and commercial success comes with time if you plan everything well, and have a good teamwork that helps you. You always have to think, when you're performing a track or one of your productions, you have to back that up by enjoying it, and then the crowd has a chance to enjoy it as well.
And then I suppose, and this is probably quite relevant to you, is you have, over the years, huge network of people and contacts and, coming through your bars and restaurants, which have enabled you to have a wide range of collaborators. Do you think that collaborating and having these kind of relationships with other artists is useful?
Very useful. Yeah. Obviously, for example, us as a duo right now, in the summertime, it's hard to spend time in the studio, but in the winter time, that's when we can be creative. And the best thing for us is to bring more people to make it more exciting. We are social people. We are not used to spending 8 hours and concentrating. For us, it's, you bring people to make songwriters, and you bring singers to, add spice into the studio, because it can be very monotonous for people like us that, we're used to socializing in Ibiza and always partying and all that.
So, Mark, of the 4 pillars, where do you need to invest the most time, and where do you make the most money?
I'm not sure it's necessarily about investing the most time. It's getting the time in the right order. And all too often, the kind of dark art of music publishing, which is fraught with jargon, horribly complicated to most people, is the last thing a lot of people think about. Whereas actually you should have a publishing deal the minute you finished a track. The minute there's a chance that you're going to play it in public or someone else is going to, you should have it published because you'll get some income for it being performed live. So you don't wait till you get a label deal. You get into the habit of being professional and managing your own copyrights as soon as possible, either by being a member of a performing right organisation or by getting a publishing deal so that someone can market your tracks to labels, to advertising companies, you know, wherever the track's most suitable. If you're doing it right, publishing or administering your own copyrights in a performing right organisation system shouldn't take a lot of time. It's like the smallest amount of time for the biggest payback. Put your effort in the production and the live performance, be the best producer, be the best DJ, and let really strong business partners around you take the slack and do the heavy lifting when it comes to making money for you. Because, you know, publishing will give you revenue from performance on a gig, performance on the radio, from a stream, from a download, you know, so many different and more places than a record label will pay you. And so it's important that you have all of these bits of your career lined up as soon as you possibly can. So I would say actually the biggest investment of time should be getting the right people around you as soon as possible.
Okay, going back to producing a record, obviously the way we sign a record has changed completely. You know, gone are the days of waiting for a label and sending out vinyl copies, and the way we promote a record is completely different. Looking at the production, once someone has, or if you have produced a record which you are happy with, do you think that the onus of promoting that record is and should remain with the label? And what can individual artists do to promote themselves to get that right label?
Any artist can do a lot of DIY promotion themselves. You can put up your track through any number of digital service providers now. So I would say do as much as yourself as you can to create your identity so that people come to you, because you can send 1 million emails and not get one reply. But if you do it yourself, you'll get people coming to you. You can produce your track. You can get some amazing looking artwork. You can create your identity, whether it be your brand logo or the image of yourself. I mean, that's so important to have your music represented in the right way at that very first point. And then the artwork itself, if you can bring all those things together and you actually, and getting your production to the best it can be, you have a product that's then worth promoting. Everyone can make a video on their phone. You could walk down to the beach, take a nice sort of panoramic thing of the beach, put your track to it, upload it. Immediately you've got a video, people might share it. It's creating a story. And the best promotional strategies have a story. And so once you start putting that story out consistently, over time, if you did 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks with 4 different videos, 4 different pieces of artwork containing your logo across the 4 singles, there might be, you know, someone's going to notice it. You know, it might not be the first track, might not be the second track, but third or fourth. People are starting to share it, people start to like it, and then you're going to bring people to you, and hopefully, you know, and maybe a bigger record label who wants to then sign you and take that up a notch and add all the sort of promotional sort of strings that they can do, you know, the radio plug-in, the club promotion and online marketing.
So when it comes to performance, which I suppose people think now is the last part of the artistic process, once you've made a record and you've promoted yourself, you've got yourself a strong publisher or someone that you... when it comes to performance, what do you think defines a good performance for a DJ?
Having fun and being obsessed by learning how to read the dance floor. You know, it takes years to be able to feel what the dance floor and what the people dancing needs, you know. It's as a great talent to, you know, be able to play in a nightclub and, you know, be the DJ that knows how to keep the people that extra hour and a half in the nightclub, because that promoter or club owner will 100% book you again.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you chaps are in a fortunate position in that you've been immersed in it for so long, but you've also worked or operated venues, so you understand it from the venue's perspective, the promoter's perspective, from the punter's perspective, and obviously the DJ's perspective, which is a great asset. And I suppose for anyone here that is a DJ and a promoter, I think it is a great tool and asset to understand the perspective from all the different elements, albeit the venue, the promoter, the punter, or the performer themselves. So if we carry on and we look at publishing, let me ask you, Mark, do you know if, or what is the Maltese equivalent of Sky or MPRS? How would you tell anyone here to get themselves well equipped for their ensuing career, both domestically and internationally, with the dark arts of publishing, as you call it?
Exactly. I think Greg will know better than me, but if I dust off my memory, I think actually PRS covers Malta, covers it from the UK, with some reps on the ground here. Although there's always been a few politics there. But I think there's two different schools of thought around whether you join a performing right organisation first or whether you seek out a publisher first. A lot of the performing right organisations charge a fee, and you rely on them to look after you around the world, and they don't all talk to each other brilliantly all the time. So there's one school of thought that says get a publisher, get them to do the heavy lifting, earn some money, and then join a performing right organisation. There's another school of thought that says join a performing right organisation, get to learn the basics, and then get a publisher so you can find them out if they're not doing the job properly. I think it's whatever's right for you. If you've got £100 in your pocket, join PRS and then seek a publisher later. If you haven't, go and find a publisher that will do the job right. But I think either way, it's important in whatever field you're in dance music to professionalize yourself as soon as possible rather than wait and then find out that you have something missing in your knowledge, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to put your hand up and say, I don't understand, I don't know. And if your career shoots off really quickly and you start to get successful and you don't know bits about the industry, you're relying on other people to do it for you, and sometimes you can't rely on people. It's good to know everything as much as possible yourself. So I would say, excuse me, there goes the phone. I would say one way or the other, publishing or PRS as soon as possible.
I mean, I know in Spain there's so many artists, and not even artists at the highest level, aspiring DJs or people that are just coming through are completely unaware of their responsibilities of handing in set lists or simple things like giving in updates to Sky of what they've performed. And it's revenue that is being left or going into the pockets of the bigger artists that do.
It's sort of worse. Now, actually, a quick test for the room. Hands up who's a DJ or aspires to be a DJ. Sort of half, nearly all the room. And who is or wants to be a producer? 20 years ago, that would have been a totally different number. There'd have been DJs and there'd have been producers. Now everyone's got their hand up. I mean, everyone's got responsibility to work together, because producers won't get paid from the PRS or their publisher or any other society around the world if set lists aren't reported or if the technology doesn't find out what tracks are being played. So to keep that ecosystem healthy, DJs need to do as much as they possibly can to make sure that when they finish a set, they either give it to their publisher or to their local performing right organisation. And if you're asked, don't say no. And two things happen at the moment. There's a lot of under-licensing, so not enough clubs, not enough venues are paying the performing right organisations money to make sure that money goes to the appropriate tracks. And also, if you don't do it, it goes to pop music. At the end of the day, if they can't identify the tracks, then the money gets put in a pot and it gets paid to the most successful tracks of the year. And those most successful tracks of the year aren't always dance music. In fact, probably now upwards of $250 million a year is going to pop music that should go to dance music, just because people don't fill set lists in.
Well, and dance music's almost pop music, but still not enough to justify.
Not enough.
Well,
yeah, and also, let's let's cut the different bits of dance music up. You know, we're talking about underground, we're talking techno, we're talking drum and bass. We're not talking about the crossovers. You know, Guetta's going to get paid. Yeah. You know, Calvin's going to get paid. Let's make sure all the people in this room get paid. And all you've got to do is say, I played this.
Okay. Going back to promotion. I mean, obviously there are so many ways now. Record labels promote the music that they've signed from you. There's social media. There's simple things like your collaborations and press. Paul, let me ask you. I mean, if you have 100 euros in your pocket and you want to promote yourself, where do you think that money would be best spent if you're promoting yourself without a record label, looking to get noticed? Is it social media? Is it one-on-one collaborations and trying to build those relationships? You know, I think we've got a room here full of producers and DJs all looking to get noticed. So promotion is almost about promoting yourself to a label. What do you think is the way to best represent yourself if you are at that level and you have a limited promotional budget looking for getting noticed?
Again, it's a really difficult question because there's a million different ways you can do it and there's no written rules. It's just going back to what we were saying before, it's about getting everything to the point of the best you can do it. If it's you, it's about your identity, making it look the best, spending time. If you're having a photo, make sure that photo is really good. Get someone, a mate, to do it who can do it really well. If you're doing some artwork and branding, you know, again, maybe invest 50 quid of that 100 quid in to get a mate. You know, find a mate. Don't go to the big designer if you haven't got that much money. I'm sure you all know designers who can, you know, make good artwork. Get a logo that looks really strong, or if it's your artwork for your record, just make it look really good. And then I'd sort of flip, and then there's also the thing about physical media as well. Everything's digital, but I think it's very important to kind of humanize everything, because you want, you know, the next person in the room to like your music. So instead of just being a digital thing, got to remember you want it to be a physical thing. So maybe there's something in doing stickers or doing a flyer for something, you know, because people take pictures of things and then they share that, and that can be shared around. But it's having something in the hand, maybe buying. You know, that little keys, hard drive key to give to people with your track on, and giving those out. Again, someone gets something physical. It means a lot more necessarily than seeing us scrolling down a Facebook page or an Instagram page and not really connecting with it. So having one really good fan that you've given something to who actually enjoys your music is better than having, you know, 100 invisible fans, because you just don't know who they are or where they are.
Paul makes a really good point, Mark, about working with people around you, because being a producer and a DJ can be a really lonely job, and it's also, you can sit there and make a track, and version 6 was the good one, but you're down to version 18 because you're just in a room by yourself working, and the most important thing I think you can do is speak to your friends, speak to people around you that can guide you. If you know someone that's great with photography, if you know someone that's got a good eye for design, absolutely work with people, because it's always going to be a team effort, and the end result of a production where someone else's ears go on it, or a DJ set when you're learning how to DJ and saying, I'm going to DJ for an hour to you, does it sound good, or listen to my mixtape. Whatever you do, don't keep it to yourself. But it's the hardest part, kind of taking your kids to school and saying, go on, fly, and actually getting someone else's ears and eyes is critical.
Well, I mean, I like what you said about having a number one fan. I think, as you said, it's a good idea to humanize what you're doing, share your ideas. Naturally, just to carry on with what Mark was saying, I mean, is there something that you recommend or you advise someone that's in the production process and they reach that stage, they think the record's finished, but it's not, because there's always more creative ideas? Do you promote or suggest that people reach a point and leave it and finish, or leave it and come back? How do you, teach or advise someone that is not perfect at finishing? What is the best way to finish these projects?
Studio life can be tedious, can be boring sometimes. And I've been there many times. And the piece of advice that I give to my students all the time is get your tracks finished. Always, okay? Don't get lazy in the studio. And don't you ever send an unfinished track to a label, okay? If you don't have the time to finish it, I don't have the time to listen to it as a label, okay? I run to labels and I get demos almost every day. And in the last years, I've seen these, like many people sending me unfinished tracks that I'm never gonna listen to. So please, yeah, don't get lazy, get to work, finish your tracks. This is my advice.
Okay, then just to carry on, as A&R and production gurus, what is the best way to receive a demo? What do you like? How do you, you mentioned, is it a pen drive? Is it a listen on SoundCloud? Is it a MP3 mail? What resonates best with you when receiving fresh material?
Couple of ways of looking at it. Yeah, if one of you guys came and gave me a little drive now, I'd probably take it home and put it in, or take it back to the room and put it into the laptop and listen to it. But you've given me something physical. I think that's really important. Getting an email is great, and that's how we work. Everyone's on computers, everyone sends emails, but having it looking really crisp, making the artwork stand out with a link, not too much blurb on there, but just like something that's going to make me want to open it. So, again, creating that story, maybe a little video, just concise.
Sometimes artists are worried about having the music to be downloaded. I mean, is that a concern? Should any artist be worried about having the files in high quality downloaded, or is it, sending to the right label? That should be the last of your concerns.
I think if you've got a good publisher in place already, you shouldn't really worry about it, because you're going to send it to label. If anyone did share it, you're going to end up getting revenue back to you anyway. You've kind of locked it in by registering your copyright. But yeah, and these days, I don't think there's a worry about sending it out at all.
I think there's one sure way to make sure that it's going to go in the wrong place, which is if you send your demo to 150 labels at the same time, all of them on copy, which is the most horrendous mistake that I've ever seen, and it happened. And every conference we go to, we say the same thing: don't hit send to all. And every year, I still get at least 4 or 5 that have been sent to all. And you sort of look down and go, you've sent it to 150 labels. Some of those people are going to take the mickey out of you. Some of them are going to do something nasty with that track. But be personal. I quite like it when someone reaches out to you first and says hi, and then, this is me, I just want to know if I can send you the demo, and actually have a discussion with them first. You look them up because they've taken the time to write. They ask for permission, and then you kind of go, this is cool, this is great, because they're striking the relationship first rather than, yo, listen. And I've had that as well. So,
as a producer, publisher, promotions, what is your take? And do you think that, for example, doing covers or bootlegs is a constructive promotional tool? Do you think that it is something you would recommend an artist does to get noticed? Maybe ask the artists first, see what you guys think, and then be struck down by the publishers.
We've seen many times doing bootlegs working really good and skyrocketing the artist out. So on that point of view, total recommend it. We've been working on making bootlegs as well, and your own edits to be different and unique on your DJ sets. So,
Nacho, are you a supporter of bootlegs?
I'm more on the other side. I support originals, and I always tell my students to work on their originals, but I see the point.
Mark?
God, it's like the $1 million question, isn't it? I think if you went back over the last 20 years and took the top 3 most successful tracks each year in the last 20 years, 2 of the 3 would be effectively bootlegs. There'd be at least 3 or 4 samples in them. So it's a very quick way to showcase your production and your DJing skills potentially by creating a bootleg. I guess my professional publishing hat says okay, sure, do that, but that's like an advert for you. Don't pass it off as your own. If you're going to pitch it to a label, then you need to get clearance for all of those samples. Do it the right way, because that gives you a good reputation. At the same time, if you're kind of talking from a DJ perspective, you want really cool DJ tools to make you stand out, and that's great. If they're your signatures, crack on. But like I say, dance music is based off the legacy of music for almost 100 years, cut in different ways, matched up with different beats, different styles, and that's what makes dance music rich.
Paul, what's your take on the bootleg phenomenon?
I mean, on a much broader sense, I agree with everything that's been said, and house music is a feeling, and if it has a feeling, then do it, you know, that will get attention.
Okay.
Guys, sorry, we're going to have to butt in. I am the timekeeper. We've run out of time for this panel now, and we need to ask the guys if they want to ask some questions. So this could be that really embarrassing bit where nobody really wants to ask a question. But if you do, please, by all means, fire it at the guys. Anybody at all want to ask a question before we let the guys carry on a little bit, if need be? Questions, anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just ask this easy question about reading the crowd when you're doing the disco or playing the music. Do you kind of keep it in some box, so you kind of have your own limits? You don't go to the, you know, to play every song what somebody like wants to hear, or I mean, my question is, do you put some limits on reading the crowd? Like,
yes, always inside your own style. You're trying to read the dance floor, you know, always with your unique style. Everyone has to have a unique style, and understand the dance floor and see how you can make people dance more, stay longer, and drink more. So inside, and
that's the bar owners in you.
Yeah, we are venue owners also, so we care a lot for all the sides. So inside your limits as an artist or a DJ, you need to be able to react and make sure people are having a great night.
Yeah, if I could just add, I suppose wherever you're performing, you've considered where you're performing is close enough to your audience. I don't think any DJ will recommend completely changing their style or their genre just to appease any dance floor that's in front of them. I think it's a considered process of where you're performing, who you're performing for, and then, as Alan said, within the limits of your style, give them what they can and control the mood. I mean, it's very important. One part is very important, is it's about the first part of the night, getting a dance floor going. Peak hour of the night, getting their arms in the air. Then later on, it's about maintaining a flow. So even within a single set, there are certain responsibilities that you have to maintain to read a dance floor. It's not just about pumping all the time, you know. And you'll know, being in Ibiza as a resident, very often the job of the DJ is just to warm up for the one after him, or to get the first 6 people from the bar onto the dance floor. So depending on where you booked, who you booked for, you have to read and react differently.
Yeah, and people forget DJs do have to warm up sometimes. You know, it's a beautiful art of warming up. It is beautiful, making the mood right for the rest of the night. And it's incredible. Like, there's some DJs in Ibiza we all know, like Angelin, the Pipi. They can really warm up a room and just leave in the right moment for the star DJ to arrive and just smash it. So it's important to understand all times of DJing, we think, anyway.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else got a question? Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to add something to your question. Historically, we replaced the machine. We can proudly say the DJs, our grandfather is the jukebox, and we replaced the machine, so we are proud of it. And let's be careful not to become a jukebox again. Okay, so you asked where are the limits. You might put your limits within your own style, and try not to. We are entertainers in the end, but let's try to show the people that we are the ones in control all the time. Okay, and let's try not to miss this point when we are DJing.
Okay, yeah.
I quickly add to that, and going back to the promotion, create and being a resident, being a better DJ, create your own pipe, put on your own night, DJ in there all night, and create your own, bring in your own crowd, and you'll become a better DJ being a resident, because you'll learn everything from that. So do it yourself, and it'll be the best way to promote yourself as well.
Okay, guys, any more questions? Anybody like to ask something in the panel? Okay, I'll come to you. Second.
Hey, I was wondering, like in an ARR perspective, like nowadays a lot of the like house underground labels, they're usually putting out like compilations, EPs, and like as a producer, as an artist, like what would you rather receive? Would you rather receive like one demo? Would you prefer like an EP, like a collection of 5 demos?
When you receive any music, it's about just receiving a small quantity. Just 1 or 2 tracks is enough to kind of work out whether it's into it. If there's too much there, it's just too much to listen to. So just 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 tracks if there's an EP, but nothing really, just to get you into it, really.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'd say from my experience as well, when I receive one of those emails with about 20 tracks on, I just instantly don't read it, you know, because you just haven't got time. So totally correct there, Paul. Ideally 1 track or maybe 2. Okay, so we're out of time. Mark, do you need to say anything else before we leave?
No, just to thank all of you. I think, you know, we'll be around for the next few days. So if there's something specific to any of the pillars that we've discussed, please feel free to engage anyone. And thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.